Alright, today we're going to do a review on the Saturn V AR-12C from Arkrocket. So this is a beginner's jukebox that comes in under $2,000. Now this is for anybody who doesn't want to spend $10,000 on a jukebox like myself, because my wife would have killed me. So I bought this basically as a shell more than a jukebox. Now, yes, why would you spend $2,000 on a shell? Just spend the 10 grand on a regular jukebox. Well, because, you know, when you get married, women, you know, they like to complain about the amount of money you spend and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I figured it'd be a lot cheaper if I just bought this jukebox for 2,000 bucks. Actually, it was like 1,800 bucks, and then just make about $500 or less in modifications. So we'll show you what we did to this jukebox and the potential this jukebox actually has. Now, the jukebox is a pretty basic jukebox. I mean, it sounds pretty good. It has a 6.5 inch subwoofer that's contained in this box right here, down in here. And then in this upper box here, they have, I want to say it's 4-inch mid-range speakers. And then they had up here two 2-inch tweeters is what they had up there. And everything ran on 8 ohms. And as you can see, the subwoofer amp right here. And it's kind of like entry level at best. It sounded pretty good. Like if you were in a small studio apartment or a cabin or something like that, this jukebox would do the trick for you if you were in a small environment. But I'm in a basement and this is the man cave, so we go big or we go home here. So we had to modify it. So let me show you exactly what was originally in the jukebox. So here are the 4-inch woofers that were in here. Not woofers, they were mid-range speakers. And they kind of sounded crappy. And I was like, what the heck is going on here? So when I pulled them out, I saw that this dome was all dented up. So that contributed to the bad vocals that I was getting. So I replaced those with these Kicker CSC4s. They're 50 RMS, and I'm powering those with the Hi-Fi Made Fun Fuzzy audio. I can't even pronounce that. 100 amp 50x2 amplifiers. Then for the tweeters, here are the 2-inch tweeters that they had in here, and for some odd reason, I mean, they put these extra magnets on these. They did the same thing with these 4-inch mid-range. I mean, they just put these massive magnets on here. I'm assuming maybe to amplify the sound. I have no idea what they did that for, but I'm sure somebody does that's watching this. So I replaced them with these overkill 300 watts, 150 watt RMS tweeters, which is way overkill. And I'm running another one of these 50x2 amplifiers to the tweeters, the 50x2s to the kickers. And that's what I did for upgrade sound. And you'll see those right here. You got the tweeters right here, 50x2, and the mid-range right here. Now the amps are a little bit different. This one costs a little bit more. The reason why I bought this one is so I could tweak the tweeters and the bass so I can give it a little bit more vocal mid-range. And I wanted to take the tweeter sound, the treble, down, so that way all my tweeter sound will go to these overkill, what are those, 2-inch? No, 3-inch. I think they're 3-inch tweeters that I have here. So as far as, well, how did you do all this? How did you hook all this up? So let me show you how I hooked it up. Now, originally what I did is I spliced the original speaker wires and I put a line level converter in here to bring it to a high signal to a low signal, but that did not work. And let me tell you why. I was getting very bad ground loop signal. So when I would turn this thing on, it would sound like a jet engine just humming. And I was like, wow, this is crazy. And I spent weeks trying to figure out where the ground loop noise was coming from. And I just ended up nowhere with it. I mean, absolutely nowhere. So it just clicked in my head, you know what? Let me just use the line out. And then what I'll do is I'll put one of these bushings in, and I'll have the splitter RCA cable come out of here and just plug right into the line level out. And then also to make it cleaner, what I did was I ran a main extension cord in here, okay? And I put a power strip down here so everything can plug into it. And the original Jukebox power supply I put right here. This is gonna come over here and it's going to actually hook up. The wire is gonna come out here and it's going to, bear with me here. It's gonna just come out here and then hook up here. And also, I'm gonna have a RCA cord right here that's going to be for the subwoofer. That's going to also come out right here, through here, and go over here to my 12-inch klipsch woofer that I got from, I can't remember the website, but it was a great deal. I'll try to post a link to that. It was actually a Costco warehouse deal that this third-party website was selling it for super cheap, and the sale is actually still going on right now. I'll try to post a link to the site for that. But anyway, let me get this all back together and I'll show you the finished product. So this is what it looks like when it's all put together. Like I said before, so you got the line out right here. So when you switch this to on, what happens is all the speakers that were originally in here before, the subwoofer, the tweeters, the mid-range, once you switch this to on, it cuts all of those speakers off. And these are supposed to go to an external amp or receiver, whatever have you, and it goes to external speakers. So I wanted the sound to come from the jukebox, you know? So that's why I took the line out and ran it back inside and hooked up the amplifiers. So that way, every speaker inside, except for the subwoofer, is going to work in the jukebox. Now, why didn't I just upgrade the subwoofer also inside the jukebox? Because let me tell you, this jukebox actually has a pretty decent subwoofer. I mean, it was decent enough to actually rattle this glass plastic in the front. And it was pretty decent. I was kind of surprised by it. And I want to say it was 80 watts. It was labeled 8 ohm. So, I mean, like I said, I got the 12-inch klipsch over there. And if you really want a rock bass, you would never be able to upgrade that 6.5-inch woofer. I mean, you'd rattle this thing apart. So that's why I decided to just opt out of the subwoofer. We'll just leave it there. It won't be used. All the bass will be coming from outside of the jukebox, and it'll be coming from the klipsch. And all the mid-range and tweeters will come from the inside. Now, what I did notice is if you go on to Amazon, you will see only 3 reviews on this particular jukebox because it is a pretty new company. Arkrocket, I guess it's called Arkrocket, is a pretty new company. They're from Hi-Fi or Hi-Fun. I can't remember exactly. But they only had 3 ratings, and what really drew me into this jukebox was is that it's a full-size jukebox. It's not like the Crosleys where they sit on stands. I mean, this is the full size. I think it's 51 inches, and there's no need for a stand. So it kind of looks like a genuine jukebox. It's just on a poor man's salary, I guess you could say. So on to the back once again. So you have in the back, let's see, we'll take this away. So you have PH, which is your record player, and your auxiliary. So if you want to switch over to your record player, you put it to PH. You want to go to auxiliary, you just hit it to aux. And this aux cable is a 3.5 millimeter cable, which I have actually going to an Alexa Echo input, I believe it is. And it's powered from inside, from the power strip, goes into there. And this way I could either tell Alexa, you know, you could tell Alexa that you want to play music, or I could stream music, whatever. And it'll all be, the output of the voice of Alexa will come from the actual jukebox itself, which is, it's kind of cool, and it's a little unnecessary, but whatever. And it comes with this. Actually, it's supposed to be an iPhone or a phone. You could put your phone in there, and then you hook up to the phone jack, the 3.5 millimeter phone jacks, but most phones don't use that anymore. So what I use it for is to put the remotes in there. It's kind of like a remote holder, which is kind of cool. So the jukebox does come with two remotes. This is your lighting remote. And then this one right here would be your actual jukebox remote. Now, it's pretty basic. It's nothing to, you know, be like, wow about. You know, it doesn't do much. I mean, it does enough. Now, there are some pros and cons to this machine. The pros, obviously, you could do a lot of modifications on it. And I mean, it's pretty nice. I mean, it looks I think it looks great. Some people will be like, it looks cheap, but I mean, what do you expect for 1,800 bucks? You know, now they did do some modifications, like I was going to say earlier. If you look on Amazon, the older model, gentleman had posted his review, and I guess his LED lighting strip went out in one of them. And he took it apart and he posted pictures of what it looked like in the inside. And it does basically look the same as mine, except you will see in his review that the subwoofer is facing towards the back. The upgrade that Arkrocket has made is they put the subwoofer facing front. And like I said before, it sounded pretty decent. It was enough to rattle the plastic. Also, if you look at his, is they did not stain the back wood. The back wood was raw. And I was prepared, and I even went and bought stain and everything before this thing showed up, so I could stain it the same color as the jukebox. But when it arrived, to my surprise, I ended up seeing that it was already stained. Now, let me tell you something that kind of disappointed me about the jukebox. Now, when it arrived, it was packaged great. I mean, the packaging was awesome. I mean, they did a great job on it. It wasn't damaged at all from shipping. But what I did notice one day when I was coming down the stairs, the sunlight just happened to catch. Now, I know it's kind of hard to see, but I'm pretty sure you could see it right there and right here. And that looks like it was not done from the shipping, but when they actually took the laminate and tried to bend it and bow it around the cabinet, they kind of bent it. And you can see it right there. And it actually cracked right here. Now what I did is I took some walnut marker that I had, and I kind of colored it because it actually showed raw wood at one time. But now it's kind of hard to see. I mean, if you're really looking for it, you can see it. And that was kind of disappointing. And I just didn't want to put it back in the box and ship it back. It was just too much for me. And I figured, you know what, I could live with something like that. Because eventually one day when I retire, or God bless my wife, I love her so much, but if she passes before I do, I will probably buy a real jukebox that's worth $10,000. All right, so let me show you the lighting functions that this thing has. Now, it's got some pretty cool lighting functions, but I am just a little disappointed that there could have been a lot better lighting functions. Now, this one, the rainbow effect, I think is the best one that they have. Now, the Crosley jukebox actually has like, you'd have to actually see it, but the rainbow color is kind of like pulsating. I mean, it's really cool, their lighting features. I mean, this one, this is about as good as it'll get rainbow-wise. I mean, it has some other things, so let's go through the functions real quick. So you have... and the remote is very difficult. I mean, it doesn't really show you or tell you. There's no instruction to tell you what the functions are or what they do. You just kind of fool around with it and see where it goes. So this yellow one, I believe, is the rainbow chasing. Then you have the flash, which it'll just flash through the different colors. And then you have jump. I guess this one's jump. It's almost like flash. And then you have meteor. So this one's meteor. It's just like a color that pulsates throughout the tubes. I don't know, but then you have C16, I believe. It's this one. That's C16. It's more of like a white color. It does nothing. It has some rainbow in there. Then the next one is C7. Same thing as C16. That's C7, just has a little bit more color. Let's see. Next one would be C3. It's got a lot more color than C16 and C7. Then you have CS. CS. I guess it's just purple. Then IC set, which is just white. Then you have the up and down, which is going to be... well, that's weird. I guess that's brightness. Yeah. Well, that's just really weird. So that one on the IC setting doesn't seem to work correctly. Let's try it. Yeah, so that's like a dimmer feature is what it is. It's just dimming the bulbs, the up and the down. Put it all the way up. And then you have, what is this, WWW? I'm assuming that's going to be all white, and it is. Then you have this green button, which is weird. You would think it would just be green, but it flashes different colors. Then you have this blue button, which does the same thing as the green button. Then you have auto. And this is auto. So that one does kind of have like a Crosley feature. A little weird, not the same. It's the first time I saw that one. Oh, and you can change the directions. That's pretty cool. This one, kind of the same thing as the other one, just pulsates a little bit faster, pulsates the different direction. Then this one right here. It's kind of cool. All right, so let's get on to functionality. Now, the thing that I don't like about this jukebox, I guess I would have to say, is the equalizer. There is no precisely tuning this thing. It has presets. And which is also weird when you first turn it on. Now you think, is this thing really on? It's off, believe it or not. So when you first power this thing up, it is actually off and the LEDs are on. Now you could physically turn the LEDs off with this button here, And this button right here actually turns the main power off, which is weird. It doesn't seem like it works, but it does. So let me show you. We'll turn these lights back on, and let's turn this thing actually on. So when you turn it on, it turns the lights off, which is weird. Now, if you want the lights to come back on radio mode, you physically have to put it back with the remote. But if you press the mode button right here, it turns the lights back on. I just find that weird. I don't know why it does it, but it does. So the first mode you're going to have is going to be CD mode. It does come with a CD player. The CD player is right here. Okay. Then the next mode will be USB. So you can plug a USB up here in the front. Next mode, SD card. I don't know who uses an SD card anymore, but they have one right here. Then the favorite, Bluetooth. Now you could stream whatever you want to this phone, from your phone to this unit, or you have your PH, which is actually your record player or your auxiliary. For my PH, I have it switched to aux, and it's going to that Alexa input in the back. All right.
What do you want to play?
And then you have your radio mode. For some reason, like I said, it just turns the LED tubes off when it goes into radio mode. And if you want to physically turn those lights back on, you need to use your remote to turn the lights back on. All right, so let's sum it all up here. I know I babbled a lot. There was probably some things I left out. You're probably like, what about that? You forgot to mention this or that, you know, but I can't even remember because I got a lot of things going on. My kids keep coming down here to bother me. But to sum it all up, this jukebox, I would definitely say, is worth the money. Now, things I am disappointed about are the colors. I mean, I would think that the LED functions could do a lot more. So hopefully, if Arkrocket is listening, hint, hint, the problem with the top being damaged like that, you would think for $1,800, there should have been some kind of quality control there. If you guys are listening, I mean, come on, what's up with that? Anyway, I could live with that. I mean, it's nice that it's full size and it doesn't need to sit on a stand. In the future, I am planning on taking this out and putting a digital display here. Now, I was thinking about putting a Raspberry Pi here with the screen. A 7-inch screen would fit perfectly. It's just these 4 screws right here that pull this whole thing out. I mean, like I said, the potential and the modifications that you can do to this thing are endless. Now, I have to say that in no way am I condoning you to do what I did. I mean, I am a building engineer and I work on electricity for a living. So if you don't know anything about electricity or electronics or anything like that, in no way am I telling you to do what I did, because you could potentially really destroy your $1,800 machine. I mean, you can blow things out. I mean, as you can see in the back, I mean, the wiring looks very intimidating. And if you don't know what you're doing, I would not suggest you to do this. Other than that, as a standalone unit that comes to you, no modifications, would I recommend this? Yes, I would, for a small environment. But if you like big sound, I mean, this is probably not the jukebox for you unless you are technically inclined to make modifications on your own, or find somebody that can do it for you. Because like I said, the modifications you can do to this thing are endless. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything that you want to know about, or any links I forgot to mention on anything that, or maybe there was something you saw on the jukebox and you're like, where'd you get that, or how'd you do that? Feel free to leave a comment, and thanks for watching.